It's brutal teaching in person and remotely at the same time. A lot of school districts hired remote teachers just to teach the kids that were home.
She has to remind me this is different. This is not what you were prepared to do.
Kind of just did what everybody else did, which was survive in a crisis.
Well, when we came back, we really wanted to focus on getting kids into school, and that was the hybrid learning model. We know it was important to get kids in, but we couldn't fit all the kids in at one time. So some kids would be remote, and some kids would be in person, and then there would be a third group of kids who would come every single day, or at least 4 days a week. I think we've been trying to add more kids in as the year has gone on. We've looked at the spaces, we've seen how things are going, and responsibly just added in numbers, especially at the middle, senior high school. When parents have made requests and kids have made requests, we're trying to get kids in. At the elementary level, it's been tough because we haven't had a lot of open spaces. So that's the movement, and then ultimately we're hoping to get all the kids back in school 5 days a week, and that's the main goal.
I mean, we're professionals. We're rule followers. We're not kids. There's not too many teachers I know that, I have a group of friends here that we have not gone out to dinner yet this year. And you just kind of miss it. You miss giving everybody a hug, you miss, those are things, like you just don't do it. So I don't know what else to say, but we're rule followers.
Unfortunately, back in August, I actually had COVID. So now I feel even more safe, to be honest. It was kind of a scary time for me when I did have it. I got it in August, late August. And my wife was 9 months pregnant. So we were really, really, really nervous. So I stayed at my house, my wife and our 2 young boys, and my daughter was at college. They went to, my wife and the kids went to my mother-in-law's house. Well, I stayed by myself, like I said, and I was sick the whole time. Well, come to find out, I went ahead and I gave it to my wife. So she was 9 months pregnant and she had COVID. And she gave it to her parents. So our family had it. So my feeling, I feel completely fine to me. Even beforehand, I felt comfortable. I was a little nervous, but I don't think, and it was still kind of new when we first came back to school this past fall. It was still new. So I think everyone was a little bit more aware and understanding and followed the rules with mask wearing and things like that.
I feel like as safe as probably anybody else does at their jobs. I'm fully vaccinated, which is great. I've already had both my shots. I know that if I had a concern, my school would definitely, they would try to work with me on it. We're a teacher during a pandemic with 100% students. You just got to use your own, you got to be smart. But I feel pretty good about it. My kids definitely know my expectations. They know to stay away from each other. I think it might be different if they weren't with me so many hours a day, if I didn't have the relationship I did with them. It's not like I'm getting in students for the first time, so I'm uncomfortable to be like, hey, put your mask up or, separate. They know, I look at them and they will move away from each other. So no, I feel pretty good about it. I think, we just got to do what's the best that we can do. It's sort of an is what it is situation.
I do. I feel like it hasn't been difficult to maintain distance from kids. I've helped out in the elementary school, and I would imagine that's a little bit different, just because elementary kids, they can't. I actually helped out our school went full remote for a couple of weeks back in January or February, and we maintained classrooms for kids of essential workers and kids of staff, and to make sure that there was a place for them to go. And I went to help out in a kindergarten room one day, and as I was leaving, and I was like, oh my gosh, they can't keep distance at all in a kindergarten room. As I was leaving, I was like, all right, bye everybody. And without even thinking, like 6 kindergarten girls ran and threw their arms around me to hug me goodbye. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. And look, and they were eating lunch, like, oh, nobody has a mask on. And they all kind of went, oh, and they threw their hands over their mouths and ran back to their seats. And it was very, and I ran home and took a shower, and and it was all, but I really haven't felt unsafe at school. I think if I was in a full classroom, maybe I would have felt differently. We didn't go full remote till most staff members that wanted to be vaccinated were vaccinated. So I think that helped.
Our parents have been awesome all year. They really have. We've had parents reach out with questions, parents reach out with concerns, parents saying they want their kids back, and we completely understand it. We've had many parents who are very supportive, and we've had a lot of parents who I think trust in the process of what's going on. They trust the teachers and the administrators, so that's good. But I think in general, this is so tough. We've said it all along. It's tough on our kids, it's tough on our teachers, but it's really tough on our families too, because they're helping educate the kids at home, and that's not what they do. So we acknowledge that it's tough, and we thank them for their patience. They have, we still have the fully remote option. We've got a number of students in each grade who are going to take us up on that, and that's fine. We know that it's not the right time for them to come back. We acknowledge that. We want to support them, so what the administrators are talking to those families to find out what's going on, how they can help. If we can get them back, that's great, but if they don't feel comfortable coming back now, that's okay too. We just want to prepare them for next year, because next year there really probably won't be a fully remote option.
I actually haven't noticed that it's affected it really in any way, except for maybe the freshman group. So I have new freshmen now, and they don't really know each other at all. And you always get to know each other, like those are your shop people, like you become really like a family. And they're not opening up to each other like they usually would. They're very shy. They don't talk very much. So that I think I've noticed a little bit of a difference from last year, but again, it's only my second year, so it's hard to tell. They're getting a little bit better now though. I'm trying to do some icebreakers, but that's the only group of kids that, again, the other kids have known each other for, 3 years. They don't really care. They all hang out outside of school anyways, they're just social beings, but the freshmen for sure, they have not made, like, I can't even find yet 2 friends in shop. Like there's no cliques, nothing. They're just very much come in, do their work and go home. So I'm hoping by like after April break, they'll be a little more comfortable with each other.
Yeah, it's not the same chemistry in your classrooms. Kids, because they can't work together. You can't, bump the desks up next to each other or put them in groups and have group work at all. So it definitely does affect kids' ability to just work with each other. And, some classes talk more than others, but for the most part, yeah, the chemistry is just not there this year.
I think there's some concerns. Like, I think that they maybe are dealing with different kind of levels of stress, maybe uncomfortable. Maybe they, at least at the beginning, at least in the fall, they felt that. Maybe the parents aren't working anymore. They could be that, maybe because they lost their jobs because of COVID, because of maybe the restaurant had to shut down, or maybe, the place of business had to shut down because of that. I do think that kind of has affected their learning, just as if, any other kind of socioeconomic, not hindrance, but, experience or level that they're at, it would affect their learning. I think this affects it in a similar manner. I do think the conditions, and I think the circumstances has affected their learning more so for the virtual students than it has for the in-person students. I think that's where the biggest difference lies. I honestly, at this point of the year, I think it's almost back to normal, to be quite honest. It's getting back, it feels like that, with their energy and with their commitment to each other and the camaraderie. That's what I'm talking about. It's almost like, back to normal kind of thing. Like it's not as new, so it's not as harsh to them anymore. They're joking around, they're having a good time. They want to be with each other because we're social people. We want to be with other people. So I don't think it's affected them as much now than as it has in the past.
It's very busy, and every day something new is happening, and that's okay. I kind of find it to be pretty exciting, not knowing what's going to happen. For example, today we got a call from CVS, and they said, hey, maybe look at some of your teachers vaccinated. So we quickly got it out there, and we got a bunch of teachers vaccinated. So there's a lot of things that are going on day by day, but that's somewhat to be expected in education. It's just a little bit ramped up this year.
I think your teachers have done yeoman's work this year. I mean, they're kind of the glue that keeps the wheels turning in school. And, we were thrown into it, last March 13th. We hit the ground running right away. We set up classrooms in our homes, and you were learning from our houses. And we had no idea how long we were going to be out. I remember Mr. Winchell, myself, Miss Daly, we came back from the meeting after school that Friday, and they said we're going to be out for a couple of weeks. And we're thinking, what should we bring home? Let's bring our laptops. Let's bring our document cameras. Thank God we all brought that stuff home, because that's pretty much what we used the whole time. But there was no textbook. There was nothing that taught you what to do. We kind of just learned on the fly, and I think, we did a pretty good job.